She decided to pray for her wish list in a relationship, which was a guy on her birthday from an island so she could have love in her life. But the demons were listening, and she didn't exactly get what she asked for. I'm Beth Ann Campbell, and this is Something Weird Happened Here. Welcome to Something Weird Happened Here, the podcast for people who love a twisted tale but aren't afraid to poke at it a bit. We share stories that are postmarked peculiar and then explore the story with curiosity and an open mind. Stay tuned after the show to find out how to submit your strange saga, and maybe we or you will share it on air. Now let's get started, because no matter where you are in this mysterious world, something weird happened here. This tale is postmarked Vienna, Austria. Subject line, sin, prayer, and spiritual warfare. In this episode, I'm welcoming back my friend and previous guest, Tania. And fair warning, we are going to get pretty deep into religious philosophy today. So if you're looking for a spooky ghost story, this probably isn't going to be the episode for you. However, if you like exploring angels, demons, God, the devil, negative and positive energies, and how we navigate through and around them, stay tuned because we are going to cover them all. Tania, welcome to Something Weird Happened Here.
I wanted to talk about a lot of things concerning spiritual warfare today.
Okay, awesome. I'm going to make a note because I know you had
Yeah.
mentioned, first of all, welcome back. Um, I know last time we talked, you had mentioned the dangers of prayer, neurodivergence, and spiritual warfare. Oh, I like this. I'm excited.
Yes, specifically, I wanted to talk about not only the dangers of prayer, but also how to detect if there is a demon, if there might be a demon, and what sin is exactly. So the definition of sin.
Well, let's start with that. What is your definition of sin?
Well, the thing is that most people think in categories, and that's actually not true. If you think in categories and say one thing is a sin and the other is not, then you are in black and white thinking, and that's the mistake. You should think in a spectrum because the question about sin is how far are you away from God? And that's the same as the observer. How far are you away from the observer? So it's more about how far away from God are you? And do you come back? So do you see that you went too far and that you should come back? That is the whole thing. So for example, some people say it is evil or witchcraft to do candle magic. Now, everyone in the world, I'm sure, has done that before. Because each year on your birthday, you blow out a candle and you make a wish. That is candle magic by the book. That is what Christians call witchcraft.
Yeah.
So tell me, are you really doing a sin? Are you really far away from God? Are you far away from the observer if you do that or not? And then the next question is, what is your intention? If you blow out the candle and your intention is, oh my God, I wish for all beings on earth to be free and happy and fed and housed, then you do candle magic for the good. So basically, you are not far away from God. If you blow out the candle and you wish for other people to be harmed, you wish for somebody to die, then you are very, very far away. So the question on sin is not, is it a sin to do that or not? It is how far away from God are you? How far away from the observer are you? How far away from a good intention are you? And do you come back? Do you even realize that you are far away and that you should come back?
It's really interesting. I mean, this could be like a whole big philosophical discussion on sin,
Oh,
but it's really interesting because in a lot of countries, certainly where I live in the United States and probably in Austria as well, what you say is exactly true. We don't have a law that says you cannot kill because in some instances, in killing another person or taking the life of another person, which in strict man-written biblical sense, like in a Christian Bible, it says, "Thou shalt not kill." But if someone's attacking me and I self-defense kill that person, or there are situations, and the laws even reflect that there are degrees of murder. There are some situations where you can take a life and not even do jail time. So it's really interesting that because I happen to agree. Here's where it gets a little tricky, I think, for people. And I say this coming from a perspective of someone who has not rejected the idea of a source, a God, a power out there, but who has rejected religion in most sense. And that is that what if we define sin as how far you are from God, there are so many interpretations of God. That is the tricky part. So if I'm a person who interprets God, if I look at the biblical God of Christian God, he's kind of a dick, if I'm being honest. He's not a nice person if many things in the Bible. So I'm not really not going very far from God. So how do we reconcile that, Tanya, if we have such different and probably inaccurate, highly inaccurate versions or visions or ideas about what or who God is?
So for me, God is the observer inside myself. I am a part of God and God is part of me. Because the observer state, when you feel the observer state, and everyone who does long meditation can feel the observer state, what that is like. This observer state is pure peace, pure connection. You feel you're connected to all. You're connected to every single being, every leaf on every tree, every child, every grown-up person, every animal. You feel so connected. That feeling is being or bathing in God to me. So the observer state, the loving observer to me is God. And I find this if I go inward, if I go into meditation, if I observe rather than immediately jumping to conclusions, being all up in the mind, being all up in action, doing something, but rather just sit and watch and observe. That is where I find God. Other people find God in prayer. Other people find God in something else, in reciting mantras. So there are many, many ways how you can do that. But for me, it is not like an outside person outside of me who is male or female and who dictates what is right and wrong. That is not how I see God. And the Bible is a bit controversial because I am sure it contains some big, big wisdom. Okay, so some big wisdom, but also honestly, it has not been done by Yeshua. Yeshua himself has long been gone when the Bible was even created. So it is not something that has something to do with him. For me, that's two different things.
Yeah,
The
God,
Catholic
God did
Church
not
is
write the
Esther,
Bible. That's
and
been, yeah,
yeah, and here is Yeshua and what he said. Yeshua basically said, find God inside yourself. I did that and you can do it too. Okay, that's basically the Yeshua's message
yeah,
for the world. And if you do that, you're close to God. If you stay in the observer, if you see what you're doing and you have the awareness about what you're doing, then you cannot harm others. It's automatically that you cannot harm others because you know you harm yourself. You
yeah,
cannot harm anyone else without taking away a piece of you. And once you get that, you don't need a Bible anymore. You don't need anything anymore. You just know. Okay, it's just there. The knowledge is there, and that is
yeah.
God to me.
Yeah, and if everybody in the world was as self-aware as you and me, yeah, I would feel we probably wouldn't need laws, right? Because but it is an interesting thought, just not that that's what we're necessarily here for, but the fact that there are people out there, a lot of them, millions, perhaps billions of people who think, well, God says it's okay to beat my wife or to shoot up a club full of people who happen to be gay, or right. And we know that so it is very subjective, but those
Or
are not
slaughter
self-aware people
animals.
not looking within. So yeah,
It's also there are many religious festivities where you slaughter animals in the masses for this religious festivity. So there is a lot of problems with religion because
yeah,
religion to me is something else than
separating.
spirituality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So well, let's I guess let's take that a little further, because one of the things we were going to talk about is the dangers of prayer.
Mm.
So let's first talk about prayer. Do you pray, Tanya? Can I
Um,
ask that personal question?
I have a prayer, but it is not like the typical prayer that somebody who is very extremely Christian would say. My prayer, my daily prayer, is more like a definition of who I am right now. It is more a definition of my intentions. So I have good intentions, both for myself and everybody else. I am protected. I am sovereign. I am the master of my own life. You know, it's more like a declaration of sovereignty and a
Yeah.
declaration of being protected. I am highly protected in the spiritual realm. I am highly protected by my ancestors. They are here for me. So it's more like a declaration of who I am and what my intentions are for the day. Because if you do prayer like a wish list, then you will find out that not only the angels and God are listening while you pray, but also the devil and the demons are listening while you pray.
Ah,
And you don't do yourself a service if you open up and speak loudly. And I'm going to tell you that from my own experience, okay? A few years ago, I wasn't so self-aware. And I did a prayer that was a typical wish list. I said, Dear God, send me a guy for my birthday from an island so that I have love in my life. And if you reduce that, you will only hear the words guy, birthday, island, and love. And now guess what happened? Because I spoke that out loudly, okay? And I told you the demons listen. So for my next vacation over my birthday, I fly to a nice place in Greece. And what happens to me? A person stands in front of me and starts talking to me. He says his name is, and now listen, his name is Guy. He is from an island, which is UK. And I meet him exactly on my birthday. So he stands in front of my face on my birthday. So, and basically, he told me that he loved me. So basically, they fulfill everything that is on your list, on your wish list, but the whole thing is a trap because now you think at first, oh, that's what I ordered from God, from the universe. That's so nice. God is giving me a gift. But oh boy, was I wrong.
oh no.
That wasn't a gift. That was a honey trap sent to me by demons. And I don't know if you know what a honey trap is, but that is someone who is here to
Sure,
he was sent by demons to distract you from your original what you should do in life, you know,
sure.
from your purpose.
Yeah.
So he tried to derail me. He tried to derail me from pull me away from God basically. So I had my learning lesson there. I first of all, I will never pray again in the form of a wish list. Two, I will never do that loud because the demons listen and they will immediately jump to giving you a honey trap.
Well, first of all, there are probably even worse, more egregious examples too that people have had of, I mean, in your case, it didn't turn out great, but you're alive, right? There are probably people who have prayed for something and, it was very bad. So then how, what does one do when one is, let's say, for example, this is very common, at least here in my world, where if someone is undergoing a hardship, maybe someone died or they got in an accident or something's happening, then you will hear all of these people, thoughts and prayers. I'm praying for you. I'll pray for you. Well, I wouldn't want someone to pray for someone and then somehow, bring in, uh, bad things. So how does one, in those kinds of situation, is there a way to offer some sort of, I'm far away. I can't come and give you a hug. I can't, support you. How does one protect themselves and still offer those sentiments of I'm speaking to this to source to God, and I'm wishing for you to have good things happen to you without attracting the badness, or do we just not do it?
Most people who have this intention, they will not say that to you. They will just go and pray for you anyways,
Yeah.
yeah, without your knowledge. And it is known from studies. We already know that when several people pray together, that this actually has a healing effect on that person. So that is absolutely clear. And it works the other way around as well. So if several people sit together and say, we want this person to die, then this has a very negative effect on them. So these two things work because we live in a energy first reality. That is exactly what Nikola Tesla meant when he said, if you want to understand the universe, you gotta think about energy, frequency, and vibration, because this reality here is energy first.
Yeah.
So intention first, 5D and 4D before 3D. So if my intentions are good, if my prayer is for the betterment of other people, then I create something good in the 3D, then this person can heal. But if I have negative intentions, if I put all the negative in there and the negative thoughts and the gossip, oh, this person is evil, evil, we don't like them, we have to exclude them, we have to do something so that they go away. That is extreme forms of negativity, and that will have a negative effect on both sides, both the person that is gossiped about and the person who gossips. So, as I said, you can never hurt someone else without hurting yourself.
Yeah.
And
There's
the
always a
demons
price.
are not aware,
Yeah.
don't know.
Um, but I guess my point was, and honestly, if so, you gave an example where you sat down with good intentions to sort of manifest, pray for this love, and it didn't turn out as good. So I guess I'm saying if people are sitting around I'm praying for a successful surgery and that nothing, because people tend to think in the negative, that because they'll pray. I pray that nothing goes wrong in your surgery. I'll pray that, nothing bad happens. I pray for you to come through with it with no trauma. And like you said, some of the words that get come out there are trauma, bad happen, right? And so how do we is it enough to have good intent?
Well, there is a certain boundary line up until which we can work, and some things are out of our control. So the fact that the demons will always attack, especially if you have a very strong vibration, a very positive vibration like Jesus or Mother Mary or anyone who was incarnating here and had a very positive energy, also like Siddhartha, Buddha. If you have that, demons will immediately find you. They see the light and they will do everything they can to destroy you. They will
Yeah.
send their whole entire army, and it will never stop until the end of your day. So that's something you cannot control. That's just normal. That's something that happens. Yeah. But what we can do is we can use our own manifestation possibilities, which is our voice, the words we speak, the thoughts we think, the actions we do, and the emotions we feel. We
Right.
can use all of that to create and manifest a better reality. So if I say, please, dear God and dear angels and dear ancestors, help this person who is in hospital now recover soon so that their heart gets very strong again and they can manifest for God so that this person can be a functioning vessel for God to speak and act through this person again. There is no better thing that you can do. And even if the demons know exactly in what hospital that person lies, and even if the demons sit next to their bed just like their angels do, that will always be the case. The angels and demons will both sit at their bedside. But if I say, let this person become healthy so that they can become a vessel of God, someone who brings good into this world, there is nothing that is stronger than that. How can a demon be stronger than that? Because God will immediately listen and be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to put all of the positive energy in there because then I have another little soldier who works for me.
I think that makes sense. Because again, it's very similar to people who and I happen to be one of them who believes in the manifestation, which is really just a flavor of prayer, right? You're really just, but it's the same. It's similar to if I'm a person and maybe I got myself into an accident. If I continue to repeat, I don't want to die, I don't want to die, and I'm worried about it, I don't want to die, even though I'm saying I don't want to die, what's being projected out there is die, die, die. What I really should be doing is focusing my energy, my emotion, my words on I want to live, I want to be healthy, I want to be right. So it's this little semantic difference of, what are we saying? Are we saying something in the negative, even though technically as human logical beings, we know when I say I don't want to die, I mean I don't want to die, but I'm projecting death out there because I'm constantly thinking about dying and death versus focusing on I want to live, I want to be healthy, I want to, be strong, like just like you said. So I think there's a makes a lot of sense in the context of how to better pray, I guess.
Well, in the situation that you described, like you have a car accident, then you are not so much in control of your nervous system or your thoughts because everything will go very, very fast. Your entire brain will go into the default mode, just the very basic
Sure.
things, the reptilian brain. So you will not be really able to probably think about what shall I think now because things go extremely fast.
Yeah, and probably, the vision of a bad accident was probably a bad example, but there's a great example in the book The Secret about a woman who I believe she got breast cancer and it was pretty bad, but she decided that she was going to focus not on dying, not on the fact that her body was ravaged by this cancer. She was going to focus on positive. She watched funny movies, she would go and laughed a lot, and she recovered. So I'm not saying, I mean, of course, she also recovered because she was, engaging in science and medicine, and, probably first and foremost, but I do believe our attitude and how we present to the world, to the universe, does make a difference. So yes, if I'm in a bad accident, but maybe I'm, in her case where she had cancer and she wasn't about to die, but she was going to die. She, per the statistics, per how bad it was, and she just made a decision that, and maybe it was just a decision of, even if I do die, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna just enjoy life while I'm at it. And that decision to enjoy life, seemed to make a lot of difference for her.
That is exactly what I said before. If you are a very strong manifester, if you have that light, if you're super self-aware, and you also know how to speak right, how to think right, how to act right, and you stay away from all of the negative things that pull you away from God, the more of this positive energy you have, the more the demons will attack, because of course they do not like that at all. They don't like to see you happy and thriving and manifesting your best days. That's basically that's basically the worst thing that they can imagine, especially if you speak. If you speak about it, if you give that knowledge to others, that's the worst things for the demons. The demons go, "Oh my God, we immediately have to send everything we got to that person because he's basically telling them how to live comfortably and have a nice life and protect themselves against us." So that will always happen. And I always say, if you come to a next level, you get a new demon. That's like in a computer game. If you're Super Mario, you have level one, you're done with the first bad guys, and then you come to the second level, it gets harder. And
Yeah.
that's the same in spiritual warfare. The higher up we get, the better we are at manifestation, the more happy we are, the more we speak about it, the more the demons will find their ways to attack. The good thing is that they only have a certain playbook, which is always repeating. It's always the same. And once you know you've seen the entire playbook, then you're like, okay, thank you. You can smell it from a mile away.
What is a demon? Where does a demon come from?
Basically, that's not a personification. It's an energy. Okay,
Okay.
so you can personify it if you want to give a picture. Then I always like that little show. I don't know how it's called, but it's on Netflix. It's a show about a nun who can actually physically see the demons, and she sees them
Oh
next
yeah.
to the person who the
Yeah.
demon is attached to,
I've
and
seen that.
she, you know, you, and that's kind of like how it is. You know exactly that there's something wrong. But for us who cannot see the demons with our physical 3D eyes, for us, it's our gut feeling. if we have a feeling that something is off, there is a person sitting in front of you and they want to sell you something. Let's say they want to sell you a health insurance, and you feel that there's something off with it. You don't know what it is, but they do certain things like they put you under pressure to sign and stuff like that, and you feel there's something wrong with that. I think that person wants to, pull me. How do you say that in English? They want to pull me over, or how do you
Oh,
say that?
put one over on me, or yeah.
Put one over on me. That's exactly the thing. So if you feel that, then probably it might be. It's not like a definition, yeah, but it might be that there is a demon present who tells that person, give her that very bad contract where she can never get out of, where she pays much too much and she will never get anything from that insurance, but your provision is high. So you never know if there is a demon next to them whispering something in their ear to really have a bad influence on you, letting you sign something that is not good for you. And if you feel that gut feeling, then that's a very good sign that there is something wrong. So you better say then, listen, let me sleep 1 or 2 nights over it, and I'll come back to you in a week and let you know if I sign that contract or not. Because you need to get distance between you and the demon first, okay? And if after a week you still think that this contract is totally okay for you, and you were mistaken about your bad feeling, then fine, then go sign it. But if you realize, hey, that was actually right that I didn't sign that, because now that I'm reading these 100 pages that there are and the fine print, I can see that this is actually not a good product. So sometimes you just need to distance yourself and you need more time, and then you can define if something really saved you from that situation, because it's oftentimes that there is an angel next to us whispering, be careful, do not sign that,
Mhm.
that's not good for you. And you can feel it in your gut, and that's how the two are basically working against each other. It's really like in the movie Constantine.
So it's really, it sounds like, because you said at least part of it is internal. So it's almost like internal conflict with us that we are, but are we, so is it external? Is a demon and an angel energy, is it external? Is it internal, or is it both?
It's an energy that tries to have an influence on you, and it
Okay.
does have an influence on you. So they can basically manipulate. They can give you certain nudges. An
Okay.
angel will give you a nudge. Hey, even though you walk this way every day, you better take the other street now. It's just better for you. Just go the
Yeah.
other way. And you don't know why. You just have a hunch that you better go the other way. And then in the next day, you read in the paper, oh, somebody walked that way at the exact same time and they got robbed or something.
Yeah.
So then my gut feeling, that could be an angel that actually gave you that gut feeling, okay? That
Mm.
actually took care that you are not there at this point in time. And it's just the same for the example person of somebody who sells insurances. This person could do something good for others, but they also have the power to do something bad for others. And so the demons will go like, oh, that's an excellent chance. I'll go there and whisper in their ear to be more evil and just to get the money.
Yeah. So I guess then my question again is, do we know the origin of these energies? Does it come from within? Is it manifested by people? Does it come from, is it just always been there?
That war of good and evil, I think it's an ongoing thing that on this plane is always there, because it is a possibility that people say, okay, I want to incarnate here because this is a perfect plane where these
There's
two
conflict.
good and bad, this conflict is going on all the time, and me as a human, I'm exactly in between, and I can practice my discernment here very, very
Yeah.
well. I can
Yeah.
practice which feeling do I listen to? Do I listen to that feeling or the other? So it's a super great school for discernment and for being mindful about your own thoughts, your own words, your everything. So
Yeah.
that is one reason why it makes sense that this is ongoing here. Of course, there are other theories. There are theories that this is a
Sure.
prison planet, blah blah blah. So we can talk about all of that. But definitely, that's a fact that we live with all of our lives. We always, every day, we have the choice. Do I go with the negative energy or with the good?
Yeah, that makes sense. I've heard also people talk about, one theory of that there are energies, call them souls if you want, that come places, not just our planet and our people, but that they like this would be something that Abraham Hicks would say is they like to come here because we do have so much contrast and conflict helps us. Number one, it's how we learn and it's how we grow. So if we don't have that, demonic negative energy, if everything's just all positive and good, we don't grow and we don't learn. When we have that, I need to make a decision, or I made a bad decision and I need to recover it, or something bad happened or something good happened, all of that contrast does help us to grow and learn, even just as human beings. And there's a theory that this is why souls like to come, because there's probably life on elsewhere in the universe. It's probably different, but there's probably life. But here we have evolved and we do have so much conflict and contrast that it helps souls and entities, as it does humans, determine what we don't want and what we do want to focus more on. Because if we don't have that contrast, we don't know. If everything's going great, then we don't know, could it be better, right? We'd only know if it could be better if something comes in and tells us that it could be better, right? Where we recognize that it's not good. So it makes sense. It's just fascinating. So do people, you talked about this a little bit. So there must be people out there who consciously, strategically use that negative spiritual energy for influence. Is that a true statement?
Oh, absolutely. So you may not underestimate how many people, humans, help the negative side. They will even go as far as saying, if I sacrifice an animal or even a human, then I will be able to summon some kind of evil entity, and this evil entity, I can basically hand them a wish list and they will do all of that for me. But that's not how it works. On this plane, you have karma, you have consequence. And they think they are above consequence. They actually think that they can avoid karma by some kind of trickery. But that never works because the devil always has a list of people that have signed his contract. And at some point in time, he's going to come to collect. Whether that's in this life or in the next, he's going to come and collect. And, if you do that, it's your own fault. You basically, um, yeah, you basically ruin your own life with by doing that. So it's not just the life of others that you ruin by doing something like that, but your own.
Yeah, I think of that in a as an example, just in reality, where you have, let's say, somebody who is um, very uh, present and influential in their religious community, like a priest or some other person of authority, let's say a man who talks about the evils of, drag queens are bad and trans people are bad and gay people are bad and all this, and then that person ends up getting arrested for being a pedophile. So it's that kind of karma. I would imagine there's probably also some inner, even because, people make decisions and not everybody is strategically sitting down to try to harness the dark arts. They're just making bad decisions, sometimes for justifiable reasons, but um, I imagine that the inner conflict, and that influence also is a part of that karma too, that we have regret, we have remorse, we have people sometimes take their own lives because of things that they've done to other people and decisions that they've made. So
But what they misunderstand is that they can always come home to God. Even if you did something absolutely horrible, let's say you murdered a person because you were robbing a bank and you shot someone, yeah? And you went to jail and you came out of jail after maybe 30, 40 years, and God still loves you. God will still welcome you home if you say, I'm changing. I'm not doing ugly things anymore. I'm actually doing good things for other people. So God is not such a person who wants to punish you. It's more the devil. The devil comes to collect. The devil sees, oh, you murder someone. Very nice. I like that. Can you do a little more for me? And then then he gets you into this whole thing. Yeah, the devil is the one who gives you something negative. Then it's not God. It's not God doing that. Yeah.
That's
So
interesting.
God will always open his arms to you. Even if you did the worst thing, he loves you so much. I say he, but no gender, of course. So this energy of God, this wonderful, loving goodness, this kindness, always has their arms open for anyone who wants to come. But most of the very, very negative people, they say, I like the way I am. I like to be evil. I like to be the bad guy. I love to murder people. So these kind of people, you cannot change them. You cannot bring them back to God because they like where they are. So these kind of people, fine. Okay, God will say, go and do whatever you want. I give you free will. Yeah. So, but if you want to come home, if you want to come back to God, there is always a way. You're never lost. Even if you did the worst thing, you are never lost if you truly change.
It's really ironic that that if you look at the Bible, it's almost like, which barely even mentions Satan, by the way, but this idea that we have of the devil, it's really kind of reversed because in a lot of the Bible, not all of it, there's some good stuff in there too, but in a lot of it, God is very vengeful, punishing, and there are millions and millions of people out there who believe that their God will punish a person merely for not believing in that God and send that person to the fires of hell. That's which I don't happen to believe in a physical hell, but there is probably an emotional hell, and there's a lot of nuances to it, but it's really contrary to your description of God, which I love. I want your God. I don't want the biblical God, because that makes more sense. It's free will. It's like it's like a parent. You're off. You're an adult now. You go off and do your thing, make your own decisions. I will be here and always love you, right? But I'm not going to send you to hell just because you decide that you don't believe in me, or you use the wrong word, or you worship a different God. It's really interesting.
Yeah,
I like your vision better.
God takes no pleasure in harming others. That's just not happening. Okay. Satan takes pleasure in harming others, in putting them into hellfire, in all of that, in torture. Satan takes pleasure in that. That's not God. And you know, if you Satan is smart. He's not a dumbass, okay? If you were Satan and you're smart, of course you would hide where nobody expects you. You would hide in the church, you would hide in the Bible. So you would maybe, get your little spider fingers in there and just change a few little words so that they're sounding different to some
Sure.
people, that's the kind of ways the interpretation starts and all of that. That's where Satan sneaks in. He's not dumb. Of course, he will hide where nobody expects him. That
Yeah.
is how it happens that you read in the newspaper that there was a big scandal in some kind of church where a lot of children have been abused. Yeah, of course, because God says, "Hey, that's a good place where I can go and send all of my demons in and let them talk in their ears what they shall do to the children." That's perfect example. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you need to have your own discernment. Practice your discernment. If you read that it says somewhere, hey, God said you should kill your own child, then you should have the discernment to see that's not God, that's Satan who said that. Okay,
Sure.
God wouldn't tell you something like that.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about I know this is near and dear to your heart, neurodivergence, and how does that play into the paranormal, into energies, abilities. You kind of the last time we talked, you sort of talked about, you mentioned a little bit that maybe people who are neurodivergent may have more abilities or attract, or just be able to pick up things differently. So how does the neurodivergence play into the paranormal?
Yeah, they say that what is called neurodivergent today in ancient times was called the seer, the shaman, the wise
Which,
old woman, the witch, whatever. Yeah, you name it, the magician, the sorcerer, blah, blah, blah.
yeah,
But actually, this is just a difference in terminology because I can either say a person is possessed by a demon and therefore acting really wild, Or I can say that person has a psychiatric sickness. Yeah, so it's just I use different terminology for the same kind of behavior that I see. And that's the same for neurodivergence. Today we say that person is autistic or has ADHD, but in other times we might have called it something else. I mean, Freud would have just said, "Oh, you're hysterical. We sent you to a nut
Right.
house. Bye. We we make
Yeah.
severing in your brain, put the ice pick in your eye, and that's
Yes.
it then." So
Ugh.
that is kind of, but it's the same kind of thing. If a person in the if you're neurodivergent, you will feel that the society rejects you. It doesn't like you. And that's the same as we see in the movie Matrix, that the people start attacking him. And he asks Morpheus, why do the people start attacking me? And Morpheus says to Neo, that's because they realize you're outside of the Matrix. You're not functioning like they do. And that's the same for a neurodivergent person. They will have this constant thing of being attacked. Why are you not like us? Why can't you be like us? Do this
Yeah.
and that differently. You shall adapt. And you, over time, you realize they project all of their shadow onto you. So whatever you do is wrong. If you speak, it's wrong. If you don't speak, it's also wrong. If you speak loudly and clearly, it's wrong. If you speak silently, it's wrong. So you will realize everything you do, everybody tells you it's wrong, 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 wrong. And then you think, well, wait a moment.
It's like being a woman.
Yeah, most people have to reach the menopause. If you're female, you need to reach menopause to actually see through all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you're young, you're really like, oh yes, I'll do anything you say. I'll try to adapt. I'll try to be whoever you are, whoever you want me to be. And
Right.
then you start masking. You start masking. You try all of these things which are actually not you, just to be perfect for the others, just because you want to hear once in your life, oh, you did good, oh, you did well, oh, that is fine, you're absolutely wonderful as you are. But you will never hear that, no matter how much you mask, no matter how much you do for because other people say it, it will lead nowhere. You will just get more hatred and more of the projections. And then one day you just say, okay, I'll just be myself, because you will start loving yourself. And then everything changes. When you start loving yourself, the other people who want to project negativity onto you have no more anchor to put that
Mhm.
projection in. You know,
Yeah. No power.
there is nothing where there is nothing to plug or pull from you, because you're just basically like a fortress. Yeah, this fortress of self-love. Okay, you love yourself first, because you know that only if you love yourself first, you can love others. Even, I mean, only if your own cup is full, you can pour into the cup of others. So that needs to be first. And when you reach that point, things start to change for the better, because then you have your discernment. You know when somebody tells you BS. You know when somebody has that demon whispering in their ear, and
Yeah.
you can feel that. You feel like, oh, I know that. I've seen that before.
It's really interesting not to get into discussion about menopause, but as an aging a person, who's been there, it's really interesting when you said that how when I was younger, even though I was strong and I was confident and I was not a pushover, but if somebody had, like this would happen all the time. I would be out walking and then a car full of young men would come out and they would yell out, fatso or you're an elephant or why don't you lose some weight? And it would cripple me. Like I knew that they were just idiots, but it would cripple me. And now if somebody were to be like, you're fat, I'm like, ooh, tell me something I don't know. Yes, I am, and I'm amazing too. So, it's
Yeah.
just it's really an interesting mindset. I don't know why is that it? Why is that? Is do women who go through menopause just they just get better at stronger at fighting the demonic energy or what? It's just
Um, well, on the mental side, it surely is that the more time you spend in Earth school, the more lessons you have done. It's like
mm,
in the game of Super Mario, you leveled up, and at a certain level, you can take the who is the evil guy in the latest Mario game? I don't know, maybe
mm,
Wario or some kind of
yeah,
dragon or some kind of demon.
yeah,
You've seen them all because you've done the game so many rounds. So you're
yeah,
basically like level 5,000, and
yeah.
then somebody else comes in and you're just like very funny. So I have a similar example of what you said, because somebody at work once said to me, Tanya, you're ugly. And I said, have you watched into the mirror lately? Because you are bald, you're small, and you are a bit round about the hip, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if a supermodel is coming along telling me that I'm ugly, I say, okay,
Yeah,
compared to you, yes,
sure.
but compared to that guy,
Well,
no.
I think you also too recognize, just like you said, we've been schooled but there is something that happens when we get past, I think past that point where we're focused on, what am I supposed to do? I'm a young
Mhm.
woman. Do I have a family? Do I not? Do I work? Do I not? Do I need to find a man or a woman, depending on what? And then you get to a point where you have no fucks left to give. And I think it's just, um, you have had that schooling where you just know, I know that you said that because you're insecure and weak. And if you're even more aware, you might say, I know that you're just something's whispering in your ear and you're not strong enough to resist it, and that's why you say something. And we just go, okay, whatever. Just
No, it's also letting go of the matrix programming because the
yeah.
matrix programming is very visible in that movie They Live. Have you seen the movie They
I
Live?
don't think so, no.
Has these glasses on and off, and every time he puts on the glasses, he can see what the matrix programming is. So when he puts on the glasses, he sees obey, work a 9 to 5, procreate, find a husband, find a wife, So, and when he takes the glasses off, he's like, what is this? What are these strange glasses? So he puts them on again, and then he sees everywhere where the matrix is programming you. And when we get into menopause, the programming basically loses its hold over us. It
Yeah,
loses its power over us. And then suddenly we see, hey, actually, many people, that's something horrible, actually. They marry and have children without even really wanting it. They just do it because, the
I'm
neighbors have them
supposed to.
too.
Yeah.
And just imagine how the children suffer when
Yeah.
your parents only had you because somebody said it's just necessary, it's just what you do, That's very different from somebody who says, I really want a child because I want to see them grow up and see them be happy and I want to
Yeah.
nourish and teach them. That is a very different energy to have.
Mm, yeah.
So that is where the matrix programming loses its power. And of course, we are very, very, that's a vulnerable phase. The first 40 years of a woman's life are super vulnerable. That's why they fire with everything they can. So, all the Disney movies where the princess gets married and then she's happily ever after, that's telling you procreate, get children,
Yeah.
get a husband. That's the
Yeah.
matrix programming.
Somebody
And
needs to do a Disney movie for menopausal women. That would be amazing. Like.
well, you have to be careful that it's not just the next trap because
Yeah.
every time they do something like this, it's the next trap. Okay, that you
Yeah,
shall.
I'm being sort of facetious, but if you do, it's really interesting if you think about Disney movies, the women who are powerful and older are also evil, and I think that is strategic, maybe, but certainly subconscious for the mostly men who have written these stories of it's the young, beautiful woman, and sometimes she's strong, and that's great, and she's smart, but the evil is usually someone older and often a woman.
Well, the father of public relations and also of propaganda is Edward Bernays. And his offspring was the original founder of Netflix. So predictive programming is absolutely logical. But as you get more aware, you can say, hey, I can watch these movies with my awareness, with my
Yes.
discernment. I can look at the symbolism. I can look at what they do, the hand gestures, who is doing what, which roles do they play, and then I can not only see the programming, yeah, like Matrix Neo sees the code, the green
Yeah.
code, but I can also use it to understand what's expecting me. So the good thing about predictive programming is for us, I can see what's coming. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's so good. You can use it for the good if you can read the programming.
I think also the one of the good things is as we evolve as a human race, we have people that are now looking back at some of those characters, and we are starting they're building stories to so we can understand them in a more current mindset of why they are. So I'm currently rewatching the TV series Once Upon a Time, which was very big here in the United States. I think it was on ABC, but it revolves around storybook characters, the evil queen with Snow White and Maleficent. But now we have backstories where they're in modern times and we understand the good people aren't always good, and sometimes the bad people have reasons why they became what they were. And it's so I think that's good. I think it's really interesting to just explore the stereotypes in a new way sometimes.
You said a wonderful example here. Maleficent, the new movie with Angelina Jolie,
Yeah.
is a very good example that you can always change your mind.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, she's stealing that child from their parents, which is very evil, kidnapping a child. But then she actually gives that child everything she got. She gives it a wonderful home, somebody to care for her. She gives her the kingdom that she's reigning over. So
Yeah.
basically, are all the good things. So even if you did the worst, if you change and if you come back to God, if you do something good for others, you can basically come back to God and be a part of the good side again. So you're never really lost
Mm.
unless you want it. If you
Yeah.
decide I want to be a Satanist, I want to do horrible things all day, then okay, then you're lost.
Well, in defense of the Satanists are basically atheists and they don't. So, but yes, the people who would channel you know, negativity and dark energy. So, yeah. Well, awesome. Tanya, once again, an amazing, engaging discussion with you. Thank you so
Yeah,
much for joining me. And again, just as usual, we went down roads that I really didn't even anticipate, which I love. So thank you.
yeah, we need a disclaimer. Everything just for entertainment purposes.
Right.
Nothing here is real.
One,
But
100%. Thanks for joining this episode of Something Weird Happened Here. If you have a twisted tale that you witnessed, experienced, or heard from a reliable source, go to bethanecampbell.com/somethingweird to learn more and submit your story. If your tale is twisted enough, we'll share it on air during one of our episodes and might even invite you to be a guest on the show. And we're not picky. Your Something Weird Happened Here could be paranormal, psychic, UFOs, near-death experiences, dreams, parallel dimensions, Bigfoot, Chupacabra, or any other weird and unexplained phenomena. We don't discriminate. If you're into paranormal mysteries that are scary, fun, and realistic, pick up a copy of my latest book, The R.I.P. Files, Case of the Demon Drums, the first in a series inspired by real cases that I, Bethane Campbell, worked on when I was a ghost hunter for nearly a decade. Case of the Demon Drums is available on Amazon and most online bookstores. And finally, we would so appreciate it if you would rate and review us on your favorite streaming platform and/or on YouTube. Thanks again, and remember, stay skeptical, but don't run towards the noise.